Without a doubt, the greatest live-action Batman TV show of all time is Arrow. Now, obviously, I'm joking, but there's no doubting that Arrow took loads of inspiration from Batman. It borrowed many characters that are most commonly associated with the Caped Crusader, such as Ra's al Ghul, Deathstroke, Deadshot, Anarchy, Firefly, Talia al Ghul, and even Harley Quinn. It's also a show about a non-powered vigilante billionaire. Sounds like a Batman show, right? But there is of course one major difference, and in my opinion, it's one of the things that makes Arrow so great. Family and family drama. Now, that sounded like a majorly harsh dig at Batman, but it wasn't intended that way. Anyway, today I'm going to talk about what made Season 1 of Arrow so great. Let's get into it. Obvious warning from here on out, but spoilers for Season 1 of Arrow. You've been warned, it's a 10-year-old show, what can I say? Now, it should go without saying that Arrow was a good show. At least mostly. I mean, it ran for 8 seasons, it spawned an entire universe, creatively dubbed the Arrowverse, and is still loved by many fans today, including myself. And yes, I have recently been rewatching it, and that is what spawned the need to make this video. I have to talk about Arrow. Now, where to start? There are many reasons I think this show works, but let's get into cast before we delve into the story itself. First of all, Stephen Amell. What can I say about Stephen Amell? What a breath of fresh air he was when the show first came out. He felt different. He moved and spoke differently to what I was expecting when I first got into this show. And I'll tell you a funny story. I have been a huge fan of Green Arrow since long before the Arrow show came out. I was a huge Smallville fan, and I absolutely loved Justin Hartley as Green Arrow. So much so that when this show was announced, I just assumed that Justin would be cast as Oliver Queen, as it was initially supposed to be a Smallville spin-off. Yet, he wasn't. I was so disappointed that I made the very childish decision to boycott the show. Yes, I know that's ridiculous, but that's how I felt at the time. But it lasted all of about a week before I caved and watched the show, and I'm so glad I did, because Stephen Amell was a far better Oliver Queen than Justin Hartley was. No offense, Justin, you were great too. But there was just something special about Stephen Amell, and I think part of it is very similar to why Christian Bale was so loved as Batman. They are both believable. They both put in a ton of work to make the audience believe that they could be a superhero, putting on loads of muscle, doing your own stunts. These things go a long way. Seeing Stephen do something as simple as the salmon ladder. I mean, I say simple, it's not simple. I've tried, it's hard. Trust me. But seeing him do that and make it look so effortless, my mind immediately goes, yeah, this guy could jump off rooftops and fight bad guys. Obviously. And that sells the concept of the show straight away. But it's not just our main character that was so well cast. Emily Bett Rickards and David Ramsey deliver captivating performances as Felicity Smoke and John Diggle, Oliver's skilled partners in the fight against crime. And they are not just mere sidekicks, but integral allies who not only remind Oliver of his humanity, but also contribute to saving the day and infusing the show with much needed humour. Oliver's relationships with Felicity, Diggle, his mother Moira, sister Thea, first love Laurel, island ally Slade, and late best friend Tommy are all instrumental in shaping his character and his aspirations as a hero. Whenever the show delves into exploring these personal connections and contrasting dynamics, the results are nothing short of thrilling. And each of these are cast so well. Everything feels natural. When there's a family drama, you believe it. When there's a love triangle, you buy it. And when there's a betrayal or even a death, you feel it. Let's not talk too much about Tommy's death because I'm still dealing with it. Then there is the casting of the season's big baddie, Malcolm Merlyn, played by John Barrowman. Now, I'm a fan of John Barrowman. I think he's excellent. He portrays this slimy billionaire with a god complex so well. I think it's mainly down to his really annoying smirk that he always has on his face. I love it. And before I watched it, if you told me that he was going to be the Dark Archer, capable of taking on Oliver Queen, I would have said that that wouldn't work. He's not that sort of actor, one that plays an action-based villain. But it really works. And he is in my top 3 Arrow villains of all time. I loved it every time he was on screen. He felt loose. You can't trust him. You never know what he's going to do. Fantastic villain, and again, great casting. Okay, let's move on from casting and talk about the show itself. There are a lot of elements to this show. The crime fighting, Oliver's crusade, the secret identity, the new relationships, old relationships, family troubles, flashbacks, having the flashbacks link and make sense with present day. It's a big task to make this show work, but one of the most important things for me, and this may be my filmmaking side talking, is the way it uses CGI. Or I guess, doesn't use CGI. It's used so sparingly, and when it is used very well, and has an impact. In contrast to other superhero shows from that time, like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Smallville, Arrow places greater emphasis on practical effects rather than CGI, enhancing the gritty realism of Oliver's universe. The show's talented stunt coordinators deserve credit for making every punch feel impactful, immersing viewers in the action. And again, just going back to that realism, it all comes together to help sell it. Visually, Arrow draws inspiration from Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, incorporating elements of its aesthetic. Despite its darker tone, the show manages to maintain clarity and avoids becoming visually murky. The fight scenes are meticulously choreographed, offering clean and dynamic sequences that allow audiences to fully appreciate the skill and intensity of the combatants. Unlike many contemporary shows that suffer from excessive editing, Arrow provides a refreshing experience by allowing viewers to see and follow the action clearly, bringing a welcome novelty to the screen. Having said that, there are some fight scenes that are cut quite choppily, but overall, when compared to other things, it was done very well, incorporating truly skilled performers. Now let's talk about the story, starting with flashbacks. I think since Lost, flashbacks had become a bit of an overused and lazy storytelling trope, but Arrow uses them beautifully. The flashbacks in Arrow serve a crucial role in connecting Oliver's current struggles in Starling City with his past experiences. These flashback sequences not only introduce us to compelling characters like Slade Wilson, portrayed by Manu Bennett, and Selena Jade's enigmatic Shadow, but they also offer deeper understanding of Oliver's relationships with the Lances, Laurel and Sarah. Given Oliver's 5-year stint on the island, it's fitting that the series delves into the transformative journey that shaped him into the formidable warrior he has become. The flashbacks serve as a narrative tool to unravel Oliver's backstory and provide essential context for his present-day challenges. It's even small details that I love, like seeing a fight scene in a flashback where Yao Fei or Shadow are using a certain technique, then we see Oliver using it in a fight in Starling City in the present day. It's very cool. And while I'm on it, does anyone know why they changed Oliver's hometown from Star City to Starling City? It seems like a very random change to me. Anyway, at times early on in the show, some of the characters' motivations felt a little flat and uninspired, and it was tough to sort of figure them out. But by the time the season came to an end, everything made sense, and it makes a rewatch far more enjoyable. Initially, the characters that face the challenge of script development in order to fully reveal their motivations and relationships. I think this was particularly evident with Moira Queen, portrayed by Susanna Thompson, who struggled to resonate as a compassionate maternal figure until the viewers were enlightened about her involvement in the undertaking. Likewise, Tommy Merlin, played by Colin Donnell, seemed like a rather two-dimensional and insignificant character in the beginning, just being there as Oliver's old, rich playboy friend. However, as the season progressed, Tommy gradually transformed into the emotional core of the show, and Donnell delivered one of the most compelling performances, showcasing his remarkable talent. The growth and depth of these characters became more apparent as these scripts unfolded, captivating the audience and solidifying their importance within the narrative. Felicity Smoke is a character that is very much loved or hated. She comes across as lovable and funny, but can also be kind of annoying. Paul Blackthorne as Detective Lance I personally love. He's sort of a James Gordon type character, but with a bit more of a thorn in his side. No pun intended. But of the major characters, the only real disappointment was Jessica DeGau's Helena Bertinelli. Huntress is a pretty cool character, but any episode with her involved just felt a bit flat to me. I'm not sure if it was the actual portrayal or just the story, but it felt like a huge swerve away from the main story and sort of came out of nowhere. It just didn't fit right with me. In terms of structure, the season of Arrow began with a strong foundation and steadily built up to an even more compelling conclusion. The writers intertwined a grand narrative as Oliver gradually unraveled the truth behind the undertaking and his parents' involvement, all while facing various smaller adversaries and conflicts along the way. Admittedly, some of the villains of the week lacked depth and failed to leave a lasting impression, but this became less significant as the storyline increasingly focused on the intense battle between the Starling City vigilante and Malcolm Merlyn. Additionally, the writers adeptly rectified an early misstep of prematurely killing off Deadshot, portrayed by Michael Rao. Instead, they reintroduced the assassin, utilising his character to show discord between Oliver and Diggle in the episode Dead to Rights, and Home Invasion. This creative decision allowed for increased tension and added a compelling layer to the evolving dynamics of the main characters. The culmination of the first season reached its pinnacle in 2 gripping episodes, where Oliver engaged in a desperate battle to protect the survival of Starling City in the present, while simultaneously striving to prevent Friars from igniting an international crisis in the past. These climactic episodes skillfully balanced thrilling action sequences with really interesting character confrontations, resulting in a highly satisfying viewing experience. Among the standout moments, the closing scene between Oliver and Tommy stood out as one of the finest moments the show has delivered to date, leaving a lasting impact on viewers. Again, I said I didn't want to talk about it. What started out as a gripping and competent superhero story on a small screen turned into one of the best superhero stories we are yet to have in live action. In my opinion. It had its issues, but nothing is perfect. One of the bigger issues for me was how fast the plot moves. Overall, everything moves quite quickly, and on one side, it's a huge positive, but it means the show doesn't have long to develop side characters too much. Like, we know nothing of Felicity Smoke outside of her work, and she is literally a main character. We don't really get to delve into any of these iconic villains like Deadshot or Count Vertigo. But Arrow did a fantastic job of learning from its mistakes. Season 2 was also fantastic, and if you guys enjoyed this video, I can also review that season. One thing I did notice rewatching Season 1 this time as well is how the narrative voiceovers from Stephen and Mel that appear in the first few episodes disappear rather quickly. And after doing a bit of research on that, it turned out that it was a common complaint in early episodes amongst reviews, and the showrunners listened and adjusted immediately. Another reason this show works so well. They actually listened to feedback. Now, I know later seasons of Arrow had received some negative reviews, but if I'm honest, I think a lot of that is down to people comparing them to the early seasons. Season 1 and Season 2 were so good that it's next to impossible to keep up in the bar, so everything just feels like a step down, even if it's still very good TV, which, for the majority of Arrow's 8 seasons, I really think it is. That's it for my review today, guys. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of Arrow. Did you enjoy it? Did you just like Season 1 and 2? Let's discuss. And would you like to see more content based on other DC properties such as Arrow, such as Arrow in the future? Let me know. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and return to the Batcave for more Bat and other DC content.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman. Fear. I'm vengeance.